They feed about 400 people every Sunday at Trinity United Methodist Church. And they've got about 4,000 volunteers involved in this program, and they serve about 20,000 meals a year. This has been a very, very successful program. It's headed up by a gentleman who's actually an attorney, and he did see the light. I'm going to ask Representative Holmes to comment on it, okay, and then Representative Lindsay, because they're both familiar with the program as well. So I don't even live in Fulton County, but my company, Wachovia, we are very active in this ministry where we feed the people on Sunday nights, and that's how I got involved with it. And Representative Holmes is probably more familiar, even than Edward is as well. They'll both speak just real briefly to you.
Yeah, briefly, I got involved. Our running club actually used to do help with the feeding of the hungry and actually preparing meals both for this church right over here as well as Trinity is part of our sort of public service thing, and I'm familiar with the gentleman who runs the drug rehab program. He has a thriving law faculty. He also has a master's degree in social work, and he gave that up in order to do this. And I had some personal, I guess, involvement with, addicts, and that was, of course, my interest. The bottom line is they did a great job with 12. The idea of recidivism being cut down is, as he said, it's probably one of the most successful programs around. As a matter of fact, I spoke at their graduation ceremony 3 years ago when they had 11 guys graduating. I met some of the first folks who graduated, and one is in Detroit working with one of the automobile plants. Another 2 or 3 of them are over in DeKalb Technical College. A couple of them are working on their GEDs, and basically, as I said, it's been a very successful program. It is not in my district, but I just think it's one of the programs that's a perfect example of faith-based government, partnership. When you have them putting in about $1 million,
There's $1 million too,
and you're putting in maybe they're asking for 10% for their operational things, and perhaps they can even expand further. Everyone would know that if the county or the state would start drug rehab centers, they would spend hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to accommodate this, which the church and the ministry has been doing for years and very successful. So that's why I support it.
The only thing I would add to this is, number one, I'm always happy to see a lawyer who finds the light. Secondly, more importantly, this organization seriously takes on the really hard cases, the really tough ones, and to have a 40% success rate, given the group that they work with, is fantastic. They go after the core problems. They reconnect these folks to their community and, more importantly, to their families. As Bram sort of talked about, the tangible points of success that they've got to have in order to graduate from the program. This goes back to that quintessential, you teach a man, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And that's what these folks are doing.
Are you speaking on behalf of the governor now?
We didn't want we weren't looking for 19 million.
I'm a little bit short of 18 million.
If we had 18 million, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah, but seriously, this would be this is money extremely well spent. We talked for a moment about some nonprofits who are here today and gone tomorrow. That's one of the problems when it comes to making sure that money's being well spent. This is a program that's been here for the long run.
And this is in your district?
No, it's not in my district either.
Whose district's it in?
It's in our county.
It's in Fulton County.
Okay.
It's you've got the financial statement on it too.
And y'all are asking for $100,000. Are any of you asking for other requests? So this is the total of all three of you then?
I have one in for the sickle cell foundation.
Okay. I got 2,000 last year. That's what I asked for last year. So I'm stepping up.
Cost averaging.
I didn't get any, so I'm really stepping up. Or the year before.
Members of the committee, it's not shown up on the form that we have in front of us, but on the master form, keep in mind that there are 5 grading criteria: community benefit, economic development, ongoing operational cost, local cost sharing, promote civil and personal responsibility. Each of those categories, we determined that we would grade those from 1 at the lowest, 5 at the highest, and then we'll composite those scores, and that will be the ranking of this project. So, anything else, gentlemen?
Mr. Chair, you've also got in here on the last page of the financial statement, it shows you where the other funding sources are for these people. I don't know how many. I don't know if you all distributed the financial statement or not, but it was with the. But on the last page, it shows you where they've gotten money in the past. So it shows you the other sources of where funding's coming. And we would probably, Mr. Chairman, we'd also, we would, yeah, and we can get more signatures if you want to, but number one. Number two, we'll change this to probably the Atlanta Housing Authority, since the city of Atlanta is not allowed to be used, as neither was Fulton County. So we're going to change it to the Atlanta Housing Authority, and we'll get that revised and get the form into your office.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for your time.
If each of you would, please grade this project and pass them down to Eiley, and she'll be composing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We need to put a blank sheet with it.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you,
all
Chairman.
very much.
Thank you for your time.
Have a good weekend.
You want me to grade or not?
No.
May I just ask one question? I'm a little confused. I didn't think we were supposed to be funding operations, but it looks to me like this should be a request to the DHR budget for $100,000. I didn't think we were supposed to be funding operations budgets. It's mostly capital outlay and that sort of thing.
Mr. Chairman, is this the 20,000? I see that there's 20,000. I think Representative Brown has pointed out to me that that is a ongoing commitment on the part of the state. And what they're asking is another 100 at this particular
I think it says they funded $20,000 in '06. I don't think it's a continuation.
You don't think it is?
No.
Well, and as we grade, let's take that into consideration as we're grading the project. So what I'm going to do, since we don't have it on the form, I'm just going to pencil in on the corner for item 1 a certain grade, 2 a certain grade, 3. 1 to 5.
Thank you.
If everyone's finished, please pass the grade sheets over and we'll collect them. No, not really. Hang on to the backup, just the grade sheet.
Well, let me give me a blank grade sheet, man. What's on the whole package?
I just stuck it on the copies, what I did
That's what I
at the
did.
bottom.
I did too. Well,
That's
Yep.
what I did. I just wrote it on the
cover.
While we're trying to work out a trial.
does that work?
Yeah, that works. All right, we got 5 of them. All right, let's do an internal one now. Greg, let's pull yours up.
Okay.
You need to look at it.
I hope I can read it. Excuse me. The first for the city of Soperton, it's they want to construct a concession stand for the recreation department, and they need a small amount of equipment. So of this $10,000, at least $9,000 of it, I believe, will go to construct a concession stand, and a small amount to purchase athletic equipment. They have about 200 or so kids, a small town that they service, and the local pharmacist is in charge of the recreation department this year, and he called to let me know. I've been there. I've seen the concession stand they have, and I wouldn't get in it, you know, or I wouldn't want to, not with a good wind. So that's the first request. And the second request, which again I can't lay my hands on, but I know what it is $40,000 for the again for volunteer fire departments in Toombs County. What they are trying to do, we have a consolidation. The forestry units, at least in my counties, in Montgomery and Toombs, are combining their forestry units, closing two and constructing a new one. The buildings that are left in the lower part of Toombs County at the old forestry unit can be refurbished and used for a training center for the fire departments in both Toombs and Montgomery counties. I understand there are some efforts the state is making efforts to move some of that training outside of Forsyth, and are funding certain efforts to do that. This would be a project similar to that. They would have all the equipment they need to train up to level whatever is the top level for a volunteer fire department person. The cities would be able to use it as well. So it would be it would take them out of Forsyth and leave them in a local area for training.
Is there local monies going into it also?
There has been local money going into it. I don't know if they're going to put any more in it. I'm assuming that was going forward. When you asked was any money from the county going to be added, money has been spent on the project, but I don't think they're going to spend any more money on the project.
So if we don't fund this,
Basically not. If we don't fund it, then that won't get done.
Members have any questions?
Plus, the ISO rating has dropped very much, and local folks out in the county appreciate that a lot.
All right. We'll go ahead and grade this.
Do I grade my own, or just...
Yes, you do.
Get a 5 right down the line. Go. I'll try to be modest.
Be careful.
As you grade them, please pass them around.
The number 3, ongoing operational costs, what do you do there?
Is the city
It's a
going to put anything in it, Craig, on construction
You
of
just don't.
concession stand?
The county is,
If there's no ongoing
other than the
operation,
operations
it
of
would be
the
a
place,
five.
not for the construction of the concession stand.
we don't want to
They
be
pay for the
funding
operations
things that are
of the-
going to be costing people in the future. So that would be a 5.
Like home
They get
right.
concession
So
stand.
you're saying that would be a bad.
Correct.
Appraise the cost of that.
You want to change it?
You know,
In the previous one as well.
I know they just have an X budget, and they've got it here, and they need an extra $10,000 to construct this.
25.
They wouldn't do without baseball bats and mitts to not. They would build that last. They wouldn't do without something that they actually need to have a baseball game, so they could have a concession stand. That's
I know in Douglas, they use concession money to buy equipment.
No. There's only going to be 5. There's only going to be 5. So. Can you guess what? All right. Does any other members have projects in the folder today? I don't think so.
And I didn't make copies, so
We'll do them
We
another.
can do it at another meeting.
We'll do it another meeting. I
hope the early bird gets the worm. Fire department.
Representative Amerson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two projects. The first one is laid out pretty neat. It's one for the city of Dahlonega to install safe and attractive crosswalks. This has been an ongoing project for a number of years. This year, the city has said they'll put in $15,000. They've asked me to request $10,000. And if you look on page 2 of the attachment, they pretty much answer your questions that you have on page 1 of the form. Talking about page 2 of the attachment, where they have the crosswalk improvement project, what's going to be done, improving pedestrian safety and improving economic development. So this one deserves a 5 right down the line.
Appreciate that input. Anything else?
Yes, sir. I have a second one.
Any questions on that project?
Yeah,
Should be in the folder. Lumpkin County, yes.
No, this is the city of Dahlonega one.
That's one we just covered.
Yeah, we
And
just
we'll go
covered
into
that
the
one.
Lumpkin County.
You're saying that they're gonna put in 15,000 on the crosswalk.
Yeah.
That's the way they look.
So they've got, is that SLOSS money they use for that, or that?
No, it's just city budget. Yeah, this Dahlonega is a historic city. Lots of tourists come there. The whole bit. They can't afford to let the crosswalks go down, and so
Rebecca, make us a note.
they're in the process of renovating them and making them easier.
Now, there's the one.
Okay.
You got the one.
Everybody got the Lumpkins, both of them?
Thank you.
The second one is the Lumpkin County Water and Sewer Authority. The fellow that wrote this one was the director, but he's not familiar with asking grants, I guess. But neither here nor there. They're in the process of siting wells. They have this engineering firm going around the county and where they could provide county water and sewer. We've just started this. We only have county water and sewer in a few selected areas at the moment, and they're now coming up with siting wells so that they can provide more water. They found that it's cheaper, I think, to dig the wells, 100,000 gallon plus wells, and treat the water right there at the well and pump it out into the subdivision rather than trying to pipe it all out of Dahlonega. And this is part of the project they have at the moment of siting wells or potential wells throughout the county. And the total cost, I had to call them up and tell them what was going on. They said it's going to cost them about $50,000, and so I just scribbled that down in on the bottom of the page. And they'd like a little help, and they suggested $10,000.
Any questions? Representative Anderson.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Harrison, tell you how.
Oh, good. Send it back. Oh, did I?
Have we got them all? Everybody turn that one in? Greg, whose writing is that one?
Huh? That's
Good.
mine.
You didn't vote on your second one.
I didn't?
I'll do it for you.
I don't think I have my second one then.
These are connected on the back.
Oh, is it connected on the back?
Yeah.
God,
Chairman Smith.
could have just did it for me.
This is okay, Mr. Chairman. I'm passing out some copies right now. I just got some information that I stapled on there.
Pass that down.
Now, this is Greg.
Yeah, here.
If you pass out another one, Chairman Smith, will show it to you.
You want me to put 5 on both of them? You gave me 2 of them.
Is this the same thing?
Here's Vance.
Here, let me have that one, Vance. I got one.
Get 2 different ones.
You were asking you.
What's the number?
Mayor Becky.
Yeah, it's 2 different ones.
2 different projects.
One for City of Hamilton, one for Harris County.
One for the City of Hamilton. That's City of Hamilton.
City of Hamilton
Okay, I got Harris.
and Harris County.
You need City of Hamilton too.
Okay, that's what
I'm good. I'm good.
Y'all tell them not to the secretary of these ladies.
Now, we're supposed to separate this top sheet from the rest of it.
No.
I've been doing that. You just handing all of it in?
Yeah, I'm handling that. Empty the folder out if you need that.
Right here.
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I do have 2 requests. One is City of Hamilton, which is in Harris County. City of Hamilton, and I've got attached letters that lead back in '06. They made an agreement. They were building a new water tower for the city. They had an agreement to put that water tower on a pretty nice high point, and the church was going to deed over a little 100 by 100 acre square, let them put a driveway in. There's a letter in there saying that they're going to do that. Well, as things happen sometimes, at the very last moment, when everything's ready to go to work, the church decided that they didn't want to do that. So the Board of Education gave the City of Hamilton, because there's an elementary school right there beside the church, they gave them the little piece of property. They're building a water tank. But when they moved from the church property to the property given to them, it changed the elevation of the tank. You'll see a copy of the change order and the amount of change, which is $103,000. They're just asking for some assistance. And to be honest with you, I've gone to like the Department of Community Affairs. I've talked to them back, I guess it was November, December. And so at this time, I just submit this to y'all for y'all to peruse that and see, but it is for the members of the City of Hamilton. And, yes, sir.
Go ahead.
On one of these pages, you show a contract amount of $616,000, so the City of Hamilton's going to fund that.
They've gotten grant monies and obtained monies from other areas.
To make up the difference between the $50,000 and the $600,000.
Well, they've got the money to cover everything of the total amount except for the 103.
But that is invested in
So-
the same project.
I
Very
believe
same water
the
tank.
initial contract amount was 616,
Right.
and then when they moved it, it made a change order of 103.
Well, the initial was 513. When they did the change order, they had 103 and made it 616.
Gotcha. And they're stable on the 513. They
Right.
just need help on the 103.
On the 103, right.
Yes, sir.
I will have to get you. I couldn't answer that question. I can find out more information.
They've got those real low.
That's loans, though, they're not grants.
Right. And I can find out any information I need to that's not in that little packet, and be glad to do that for you. But
Any more questions on the City of Hamilton water tower? Why don't we go ahead and grade that one, and then we'll move on to the next one in just a moment. You'll pass those around if they're done. All right, next one, Vance.
Okay, and the next one, and this, I may not have filled this out properly because I asked for $100,000, and it deals with two separate areas that Harris County wants to use as a business park. One is a little bit east central of Hamilton, but it's in the county, and that's 100 acres of land that Harris County has purchased a few years ago. They've done some clearing, punched the road in with their own county equipment, the CI did, and cleaned it up so that the prospects can look at it. And at the same time, on the other side of the county, the west side of the county, they purchased 200 acres of land that is about, I want to say 8.5 miles from the new Kia plant, which is just up in Troup County. So they purchased that hoping to bring in one of those spinoff companies. Now they've gone there and punched the road in, or pushed the road in, I say punched the road in so that prospects can at least get in there and look at it. But they're working with the economic development gentleman in Columbus that works at Georgia Power, Clint Taylor, and he's also going to help them with the first part. But they're working with him because they want to make sure they maximize the use on that 200 acres to get their entrance, where the road should be, how the property should be divided up. They've already got an agreement with West Point. They're so close to West Point. They've got an agreement with West Point on their water and sewage, so which is a big plus right there. But they just, when they start out, and you'll see in those two letters, if they don't plan it right to begin with, they just won't maximize their use. So that's the reason I was making that second request right there.
Representative Smith, if I'm reading here, the county purchased 300 acres of land, so they have that type of capital investment already in the industrial park. Do you have any idea of what kind of dollar figure that represents?
I want to say I can't tell you on the first 100 acres, and I could call them and ask them, and I should have. On the last, I want to say they paid about $9,000 an acre on that 200.
I think it's important that we note that because you made a sizable investment for other funds.
Right, and I can come back again if whatever your procedure is, but I can always get you later information. I can get you that exact amount, and no problem.
If you would share that with the fiscal office so that they can put that in on the form for the other funds available on the form.
Right. Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, your senators are in agreement with this. Are they asking for any monies on their side?
I talked to Senator Seth Hart. This all just kind of came together last week. So I talked to Senator Seth Hart the day before yesterday, and I told him what I was doing. He said, "Well, get me the package so I'll know what you're doing, and I'm going to get it to him." Now, he didn't come out and tell me. I don't know what process they have over there. I don't know if they do this or how they do theirs in the Senate, to be honest with you, but I need to find that out, too. I can tell him to not make that request or to make that request or whatever y'all think we ought to do.
Well, that's one of the purposes of having the senators sign on so as we don't approach it twice.
And I can do that. I can get a signature from him to sign on.
But if he is going to be requesting it, since you've already requested the other one at $50,000, it probably be better funded if that's the one that he's doing.
So you're saying me do the 50 and let him do the 100?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
I don't have a problem doing that.
All right.
At all.
Since we've gone through the process, we will hold these grade sheets, and if you need us to forward on, we will. But
Okay.
if Seth wants to run it through, that's what I would recommend.
I'll be more than happy to do that, and I'll still go ahead and get you what amount they paid because you got my curiosity up. I'm going by speculation of what somebody told me. Be interesting. I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all.
May I ask a point of
Sure.
order? What if there's a project in a county and it says a $50,000 project, and I wanted to do 25 of it in the House, and my senator wanted to do 25 of it in the Senate? What's the posture of that?
I would just simply put a note on the application form that that's what you're doing, just to clarify.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll leave the 50,000 for the little city here, and I'll send him the 100 information. Let him ask for that over there. Then. That's
Good
great.
plan.
All right, appreciate
Thanks,
it. All right, y'all have a great weekend. Appreciate it.
Eliminate.
You'll pass those around, and what we'll do, Eiley, is just hold these separate. Representative Lucas.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I'm here requesting $50,000 for Newtown Macon, which is a private-public partnership. And what they've done is to go in downtown Macon, where we've had these dilapidated buildings that have not produced any income at all, and they have put them back. They have restructured them, redone them, and have put them back on the tax rolls. They've actually sold them. The $50,000 would match a grant from Robert Woodruff Foundation and Peyton Anderson Foundation totaling $600,000. And what it would help to do is do some alleyways, do some lighting as well as sewage problems that are involved in those particular areas.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Representative Lucas. Are there other members of the bid delegation?
Yes, they are.
Are they in agreement with this?
They're in agreement with that. We just had a delegation meeting yesterday, and I didn't know. They said, well, we'll sign on. Alan told me, but basically they've taken various projects. Well, you got one that has 4 or 5 counties, so he's put in a request for something else. And
And your senator?
Senator Staten, he's doing another request on another project out of Bibb County. But
Is he aware that you're doing this one?
yeah, we met yesterday. Had I known it, I would have had them to just sign on to it.
This is the first one we've had that wasn't signed, is why I brought that up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had submitted it, and then we had a delegation meeting, and they done.
As long as you're confirming that he is aware of it.
Yeah, he is very much aware.
One of the key ingredients that, as you heard us discuss earlier with the community development, is that the purpose of the grant, identify, improve lighting, drainage, and signage, and add murals to alley walls. It will be important that next year, when we're tracking projects expenditures, that the recipient does spend the received money on those entities. So you might
They will have an
aware.
audit report. They got several bankers on the Newtown board, so it's you won't have a problem about the auditing of the money and where it goes.
How long has Newtown Macon been in existence?
Dr. Kirby Goss, the president of Mercer, started Newtown, I guess, about almost 10 years ago.
So it's an ongoing entity then.
It's an ongoing entity, and they've done some tremendous things. They built our Muggy Trail, which is down on the river, and they are currently doing some things with the Indian Mounds to make the trail extend and that. But basically what they've done, they've taken downtown where it was dilapidated and stuff and have fixed it back up and have put it back on the tax roll. They've actually did the buildings, went in, redid them, had a contractor to do it. They borrowed the money and then actually sold the buildings. So those buildings have gone back on the tax rolls in downtown Macon. That's part of Macon's problem. When we came up with the malls, all the downtown just kind of died. Just folks left because of the parking and stuff.
And how is the progress going? Is the revitalization working?
It's working fine. They've done several buildings. They've matter of fact, they're doing one now that the lady from Alabama has just signed a contract with Robbins Air Force Base on an engineering firm. She saw the building, and so they are doing that building and signed a contract to sell her that building, so that building goes back on the tax roll. But I mean, they get out and they borrow the money, and then they go to foundations and stuff. So they have a pretty elaborate scheme of doing things. They got folks that go find the grants and those kind of things, what things they can do. So they spread pretty thin. But I just got this, and matter of fact, Senator Staten is the one that gave it to me, and they faxed it to me and everything. So.
Okay. Well, any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I visited over there and saw something where it's absolutely amazing. Revitalize it's certainly an example to other cities.
Representative Luce, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Thank you.
I'll take it 5.
I believe that covers us.
All right.
You want to meet on Fridays, is that going to be your meeting day? Or?
As the session progresses, we will be, I don't think we'll have a definite Friday schedule. We've got to talk about what day of the week on a regular basis this works out the best.
I just for your own knowledge, these guys, I know you guys were on that committee last year, and if they were here till 4, 5, and 6 o'clock on Friday, and that's pretty tough on those guys.
Yeah, that's not really pretty.
I understand that, and
Mr. Chairman, since we have some time next week, is there a possibility that through emails that some of those individuals that are close around might want to get theirs?
He wants to do about 7 o'clock Monday morning meeting.
Sounds good.
What? What?
Maybe, I'm not quite.
that'll be stricken from the record.
TV's not on, is it?
That's the money spent.
Yes, it is actually.
I didn't see a red light
They're streaming it. I've already got the buzz about it.
Any other discussion? We'll close the meeting.
there. Immediately call to the chair, won't we?
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.